Welcome to Steady Growth, where we build money, character, and resilience the same way. Small, steady, and on purpose. No hype, just honest steps that add up. Let's begin. Picture a kid at a kitchen table, head down over a math problem that just will not budge. Pencil down, shoulders slumped, and then the sentence almost every parent has heard. I can't do this. Now watch closely, because someone is about to walk over, and instead of fixing it, instead of arguing, they add one small word to the end of that sentence. I can't do this yet. Watch what that one word does. Nothing about the math got easier. The problem on the page is exactly as hard as it was a second ago. But a door that was clicking shut just swung back open. That is the whole episode, right there, in one syllable. And there are decades of solid research behind why that tiny word is one of the most powerful things we know about how kids and grown-ups actually learn. It starts with a discovery that genuinely surprised the woman who made it. A Stanford psychologist named Carol Dweck spent years handing children problems that were just a little too hard for them, and then quietly watching what happened next. She expected some coping, some discouragement. What she did not expect was that a few of these kids would be delighted. One 10-year-old rubbed his hands together and said, "I love a challenge." Another looked up and said, hopefully, "I was hoping this would be informative." Sit with that for a second. To these kids, the struggle was the good part, the part where you actually get smarter. And here's the kicker. They were not any more talented than the other children. They were simply running a completely different story in their heads about what struggle means. Dweck gave those two stories names, and once you have them, you will see them everywhere. Watch this. In a fixed mindset, you believe your abilities are basically set. You have a certain amount of smart, and your main job in life is to keep proving you have enough. In a growth mindset, you believe those abilities can actually grow with effort, the right strategy, and a little time. And here's the catch that changes everything. If you secretly believe your ability is fixed, then every hard problem turns into a test of whether you are good enough, and struggling with it feels like proof that you are not. So you protect yourself. You avoid the hard thing, or you quit early. But if you believe ability can grow, that very same hard problem becomes the gym. It is not a threat anymore. It is the workout. Same wall in front of two kids, and two completely different stories about what the wall is for. Now, this might sound like plain old positive thinking, and here is the part I find genuinely reassuring. It is not. Your child's brain is not a fixed container they were handed at birth. It is more like a muscle, a whole forest of tiny paths that get worn deeper the more you walk them. Every time your child wrestles with something just past what they can already do, they are literally building new connections up there. And scientists can watch a version of this happen. People who believe they can improve show a bigger spark in the brain the very moment they make a mistake, and then they pay closer attention to the correction that comes next. Their brain leans toward the error instead of flinching away from it. So a mistake is not the opposite of learning. For the brain, a mistake is one of the main ways learning happens. Here's where it gets wonderfully practical and where it lands closest to home. In a now famous set of studies, Dweck and her colleague Claudia Mueller gave kids a first round of puzzles that most of them did well on. Then they praised each child in one of two ways. Watch the fork in the road. Some kids were told, in effect, you must be smart at this. Others were told, you must have worked really hard at this. One sentence of difference. Then they offered every child a choice. An easier set they would be sure to ace, or a harder set they might actually learn something from. And the kids' praise for being smart mostly played it safe and grabbed the easy one, because now they had a label to protect, and a hard problem might put it at risk. The kids praised for their effort reached for the challenge. Same kids, one sentence apart. But the part that should stop every parent came next. In between, the researchers handed all the kids a hard, frustrating round built so that everyone would stumble. Then they gave a final round, exactly as easy as the very first one. Remember, nothing separated these kids but one sentence of praise. And on that final round, the children praised for being smart actually scored worse than they had at the very start. The children praised for their effort scored better. One group had quietly been taught that struggle means you are not as smart as they said, so a hard patch rattled them. The other group had learned that struggle is simply the work, so the same hard patch sharpened them. Same children, same puzzles, one word, sent in opposite directions. So the takeaway is not to stop praising your kids. It is to aim the praise at the part they can actually control, not the talent they were born with, but the work they chose to do. And before this starts to sound like it is only about children, listen for how often the fixed mindset hides inside perfectly grown-up sentences. I'm just not a math person. I'm not really the creative type. I've always been bad with money. Each one sounds like a neutral little fact about yourself, but watch what it quietly does. It closes the case. It takes something you could still learn and files it under who you permanently are. And the most expensive part is not that the sentence might be wrong, it is that once you believe it, you stop trying, and then you never collect the evidence that could prove it wrong. That, by the way, is a money sentence as much as a math one. I've always been bad with money, is just I can't, with the yet quietly missing. Now, let me be honest with you, because on this channel, calm and accurate beats clever, and growth mindset is a place people love to oversell. Two honest things. First, this is not magic, and it is not just try harder. Dweck herself warns about a false growth mindset, where we cheer for effort while nothing about the actual approach ever changes. Effort with no new strategy and no help is just a wheel spinning in the same ruck, and kids see straight through empty cheerleading. The real version is effort plus a different approach plus, often, the courage to ask for help. Second, the straight version of the evidence. In one of the largest, most careful studies ever done, thousands of teenagers, the kids whose grades moved most were the ones already struggling or who were not getting much of this encouragement at home. For kids already thriving and well-supported, the boost was small, not because the idea is wrong, but because they are already near the top of the page with little room left to climb. And sit with what that gently means. If you are the kind of person who presses play on a video like this, there is a good chance your own kids are already getting much of this gift from you, which makes the most powerful place to spend the idea a child who is not yours, a student, a niece, your kid's discouraged friend, the one who has never once been told that struggle is just the work. So here is the reframe worth keeping, and it is smaller than you would think. A growth mindset is not about deciding you are brilliant. It is about quietly changing the question you ask in the hard moment. The fixed question is, am I good at this? And that question has only two answers, and both of them end the story. Yes, so do not risk it. Or no, so why bother? The growth question is different. Am I getting better at this? And that question has no final answer. It just keeps the road open. And the smallest, cheapest word in the language for keeping that road open is the very one we started with. And if you are a parent, here is the part that matters most, in two pieces. First, let them struggle a little. This is the hardest one because every instinct says swoop in and fix it. But a child gently allowed to wrestle with something and then get through it learns the most important lesson there is, that hard is not the same as impossible. That is a gift you can only give by stepping back, just a little. Second, and watch this one, your kids are not only listening to what you say about their struggles, they are watching what you do with your own. When you burn dinner or lose your patience or get something wrong, the words you say out loud become their inner voice later on. I'm just bad at this teaches one lesson. I haven't figured this out yet teaches another. You do not have to be good at everything in front of your children. Letting them watch you be a beginner, patient, willing to try again, might be the most powerful lesson you ever teach. They learn how to struggle by watching how you struggle. Because in the end, this was never really about talent. It is about the sentence you tell yourself the moment you get stuck and whether you let it end the story or keep it open. Talent is just where you happen to start. The story you tell about struggle is what quietly decides where you finish. So the next time your child looks up from something hard and says, "I can't do this," you will know it is not the end of the sentence. It is the beginning of one, and you get to hand them the rest of it. Not by making the hard thing easy, but by quietly promising them that hard things are exactly how people grow, and that you are not going anywhere while they figure it out. So give your kids the word and add it to your own quiet doubts too. Whatever it is you can't do today, try ending the sentence just a little differently. Not "I can't," just "not yet." If something here was useful today, the best thing you can do is use it tonight in one small way. And if you'd like to keep growing with us, you're welcome in our tribe at familycreative.org. It's where we gather the tools and resources we build for people doing this on purpose, and where you can learn more, share what's working, and help someone a few steps behind you. That's the whole point. Small, steady, together. Be kind, try hard, do the work, build the family. We'll see you in the next one.